I am going to show you 3 photos of 3 different famous women, and I want you to tell me how old you think they are. So here is the first one. I will give you like 2 seconds to make a guess. Okay, period. Let's move on to the next one. So these are all famous people, so you may have heard of them or you may have not. But anyways, here's the final picture, and this is a Miss Kylie Jenner. Just guess, look at the photos, guess, and just make your own conclusion. So now that you have seen these photos, I want you to pause this video. If you're watching the premiere, I don't think you can pause. Can you pause on premiere? I don't know, but if you can't, that's okay. And don't try to search up their names and cheat and act like you got the answer right, because I know some of y'all will try it, but if you cheat, I'ma sense it, because I'm a Gemini, I can sense that type of stuff, so don't try. Anyways, time's up, so do the drum roll so I can announce their ages, do a little drum roll. All of them are 26 years old. Let me know if you guessed the correct age or not, and don't feel bad if you did get the wrong answer, because our society, we have an aging problem. Earlier this year, Kylie Jenner was trending for looking old when she attended the Jean-Paul Gaultier show. He is a French fashion designer, if you did not know. I mean, I did not know him because I cannot afford any of his clothes in the first place. I didn't see the actual prices of his clothes, but a place is expensive when you go on their website and they don't even have the prices there. That's how you know they're expensive. But that's besides the point. A lot of people had things to say about Kylie Jenner at the show. They said she looks old, that she doesn't look 26 years old, and a lot of people said that she looks 40 years old. And I was like, that's crazy. Listen, I am not a fan of the Kardashians or Jenners. However, she doesn't look 40. And if we consider how Kylie Jenner looks as a 40-year-old, then I'm just like, maybe our perception of age is really messed up. Because if Kylie Jenner supposedly looks 40, then how do we expect actual 40-year-olds to look? You know what I'm trying to say? I was like, that just made me very interested in what we consider a 40-year-old, what we consider a 50-year-old, what we consider a 60-year-old, and what we consider a 20-year-old or 30-year-old. Because I feel like as society keeps evolving and as we have more technological advancements and just more editing tools at our fingertips, I feel like the lines of aging has become increasingly blurred, which in fact has messed up our perception of age. And let me actually tell you the story that made me realize that people just be yapping to yap, and also why I do believe that our perception of age is just completely blurred. One of my most viewed videos is my video called "If You're Under 18, You Should Not Look Like This." Very grateful for the views on that video. I've talked about it a couple times in my other videos, and I also talked about how I felt like I didn't look cute in that video, but let me explain. So I filmed that video at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So I was already very tired, but I wanted to get the video out because the next day I was gonna be super busy and I would not have had time to film. And also I did a new hairstyle. I was trying out something new. It didn't turn out cute though. At the time, I only had, I think, 3,000 subscribers or 2,000 subscribers. So I was like, you know what? Who's really gonna see the video? Come on, maybe I'll get like 500 views if everything works out. So I filmed that video basically with a new hairstyle that didn't look good. I couldn't even find the top that I actually wanted to wear. So I wore this button up top, which made me look older too. My friend was even clowning me for it. He's like, why are you wearing that? You look like a freaking real estate agent. So yeah, we love that. But anyways, yeah, the hair was not cute. I was already tired because it was like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Plus the top did make me look older than I was. Well, according to some people. I never said my age in that video, and I have never actually told you guys my age. And you know what? I might keep it a mystery. You know what I mean? I might not tell you guys how old I am. I'll see how I feel, but I like trying to be mysterious a little bit. I mean, I feel like I talk a lot, but I feel like I still have a hint of mystique to me, so I might try to keep that. Anyways, since that video got way more views than I've ever gotten in my life, I also got way more annoying comments than I have ever gotten in my life. In the video, I gave a clue as to how old I was because I mentioned Kylie Jenner dropping one of her brands when I was either in high school or middle school, and then this person commented, they said something along the lines of this: OMG, you were in middle school when Kylie Jenner dropped that brand? No offense, girl, but I thought you were 35 or something, or way older than that.
You wanna fight on tussle?
And don't you hate when people say no offense, but then proceed to say something offensive? Girl, what was the reason of saying no offense? Just say it with your chest at that point. Cause I would love to see how you look, random commenter. Either way, I was like, hey, whatever, you're annoying. But it just also made me think of how our perception of age is really blurred now. And it's just so crazy and interesting to not be able to tell how old people are. And people are trying to use the fact that they think Gen Z is older as a way to like make themselves feel better if they look younger and if they're a millennial. Like there's just so much going on with the discussion of aging. So I really wanted to talk about it in today's video. Our conception of aging is messed up and we need to talk about it. And let's also talk about why society wants women to look like they're 19 forever. AKA is because men are creepy and weird, but we will discuss that later in today's video. So let's get into this mess, child. Let's get into it. Yeah. Part 1. Our understanding of aging is messed up. So the big discussion is whether Gen Z looks older than millennials. And this conversation has been going on for a while now, especially on TikTok. And when I was thinking about this topic, it reminded me of that photo of Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner from a while back. And everyone thought that Kylie was Kendall's mom in that photo. Kylie did look older than Kendall in the photo, but it was because of her makeup, hair, fillers, and all that. That kind of just led me to believe that Gen Z's aesthetic has aged them. It's not actually how they look, it's just what they choose to wear, if that makes any sense. However, actual theories are floating around as to why Gen Z is supposedly aging like milk. So I want to talk about those in today's video and why our perception of aging is messed up in the first place. So let's get into it. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to start with some theories as to why people believe that Gen Z looks older than millennials. A lot of millennials are explaining their perspectives on why they are younger than Gen Z. First, I want to say that I personally don't believe that Gen Z is aging like milk. And I also want to add in that I am Gen Z, but I will talk about that later. So I don't believe we're aging like milk. I don't think there's something in our water that's making our skin age more. Really, the difference is we grew up knowing how to do our hair, knowing how to do our makeup, and we have access to different types of clothing brands, different makeup choices as well. We have a lot of options when it comes to how we want to express ourselves. So if we want to express ourselves in a more mature way, we can. And if we want to express ourselves in a maybe, I guess, not as mature way, we can as well. But I think the biggest thing is that we know how to do our makeup, we know how to do our hair, we can start looking more polished. And when you start looking more polished, you typically look maturer. You look mature for your age, or just mature in general. And not only makeup and hair, but a lot of cosmetic procedures too. Not all of them though, but like the ones that are less invasive, they are more common and they are more affordable and normalized in our age group. So if you want to get Botox or filler at like 20, you can probably get it. I don't know how much Botox costs though. I will check the price and show y'all. But like these procedures are more readily available to us too. So that's another factor when talking about the aging of Gen Z. So personally, to me, it's not really our faces that look old, it's the way that we present ourselves. However, I will argue that fillers and Botox can make you look older, but I'm going to talk about that later in today's video anyways. It's simple like stuff like changing your hair, your clothes, all that can make you look older, make you look younger. Like in my video that I talked about earlier where I was wearing the button-up shirt and my hair was kind of ugly. I bet you if I changed my hairstyle or changed the shirt I was wearing to maybe something more casual, maybe that person would not have thought that I was older than I was. And if they still did, then they're a hater. Why you hating on me? Not you being here the whole time. Even though I don't believe that my generation is aging like milk, let's still talk about the theories as to why people believe they're aging like milk. And if you do think that Generation Z is looking a little bit old, a little bit dusty and crusty, please still let me know your reasonings down below because I would love to read it. Yeah, let's get into it. So the first factor is stress. According to experts, Gen Z has faced significant stressors from a very young age. Dr. Idris, who is an American board certified dermatologist and an expert in facial rejuvenation, highlights how this generation has dealt with a constant barrage of global crises, from terrorism to school shootings, and most recently, the COVID-19 pandemic. And I would also like to add in that we face a lot of stress too, from school, just graduating, getting good grades, and also finding a job after you graduate as well. And not just any type of job, a job that is actually in your field and actually pays well, because that is so hard to find now. And the housing market is crazy, rent is crazy. It's like if you wanted to move out, your whole paycheck would just go to your rent, and that's literally not living. So
insufficient funds, you ain't got no money.
I hope I can find this video, but there was a video of this nurse crying that she only has $300 left, or $300 or $200 left after paying all her bills. And it's just kind of crazy because like, okay, you have to pay all your bills and you can't even like enjoy yourself, because $300, like you can literally go out in one day and spend that. Shit outside is so expensive. So that's also another stressor that I know people my age are dealing with. Y'all got us out here stressed. And what used to stress me out even more was at my old job, I was a cashier, and I would have older people come into my line, and you know they want to chat, they want to talk, and they're talking about like, oh, I don't know how your generation is going to afford anything. Like, how do you afford a car? How do you afford to move out of your parents' house? Like, it's so crazy. Everything is so expensive now. And I'm like, thanks, Karen. I already know it's hard. Like, y'all be stressing me out. We didn't have it easy like the boomers, you know? They bought their houses for like $5 and now they're living life. And now us, we gotta struggle out here to buy a freaking house. But you know what? I don't like to think about that because that's too stressful. So let's stop talking about that. Anyways, all of these experiences have taken a toll, not just emotionally, but physically. Dr. Yoon explains that stress activates skin mast cells, which produces hormones like cortisol that inhibit collagen production, leading to premature aging. In fact, a 2018 survey found that 91% of Gen Z adults felt a lot of pressure, both emotionally and physically. So all of the stress that we have experienced from a very young age has contributed to us looking older than we should, according to experts. Another theory is tobacco use. I don't use tobacco, so y'all stay safe out there. But using tobacco frequently does age your skin and make you look, you know, older than your years. And I've seen this firsthand, and this doesn't only need to be applied to Gen Z. Like, I've seen it through different generations. My old manager, my old job actually, she was a heavy ass smoker. Like, every day, sis was outside smoking a cigarette. During my 8-hour shifts, she would be outside every single hour for a smoke break. I thought she was like at least 40 or pushing 40 or almost 40, but she wasn't. She was 27, and I do believe it's because she was a heavy smoker, but that's besides the point. Tobacco is in several products, not just cigarettes, but it's also in vapes. And I do remember in high school when vapes were so poppin' and so popular. Everyone was going to the washroom to go and do it, and like they were literally hitting it in class. My high school was doing too much because they even had to put up a sign in the washroom that said no e-cigarettes, no vaping, no none of that, because people would literally leave class to go and vape, then come back. And we even had like teachers and the principals roaming around the halls to make sure that people were not doing that. So yeah, my high school was the ghetto. And we already know how stressed out Gen Z is, according to the survey. So when stressed, it is typical for people to adopt unhealthy coping mechanisms to combat that stress, and vaping definitely could be one of them. Even though vaping has been marketed as less harmful than smoking actual cigarettes, vaping still has damaging effects to your skin, which can make you look older. Several health experts have noted that nicotine and other substances in e-cigarettes can damage skin health in ways that are difficult to reverse. So if you are into that, I would advise you to maybe reconsider it, not only for your aging process, but also because it's not really that healthy. Like, do you really want a collapsed lung? Just saying. And I hope I don't give off grandma vibes for real, because I'm not a grandma, but I will admit in high school I was a nerd and I was not into any of that type of stuff too. Like, till this day I'm not, but you know, like, I'm an adult, so you know, I do my own stuff, but not like the tobacco stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah, if you do choose to do it, it is your choice. I'm not judging, but also just understand the risks that come with vaping or smoking. Let's move on to the next theory as to why Gen Z is aging quicker than milk, and that is advanced makeup and skincare routines. Experts have pointed out that heavy makeup trends popularized by celebrities like the Kardashians have influenced this generation since they were children. And I remember the King Kylie era, where she really popularized heavier makeup, like contouring, thick and sculpted eyebrows. I think they used to call it the IG brows or the Instagram baddie eyebrows. And she also popularized fuller lips and highlighting. She influenced a lot of us to wear heavier makeup, or just to start wearing makeup in general, which in turn made us look older, because that super beat face does make you look older, especially if you are like 16 or something. Makeup can easily make you look like you're 20 something. Even her older sister Kim Kardashian was known for contouring around this time, and everyone was trying to have a snatched and sculpted look. And Gen Z, we saw this at a younger age. So we started copying the Kardashians' makeup trends at a much earlier age. And it made us look way older than we really were. I remember Kim Kardashian being a part of my childhood growing up. I remember I used to watch her show when I was younger. I didn't watch it religiously, but I do have some memories of watching bits and pieces. And like, it was low-key funny. Looking back, her shows, like the show was quite funny. I don't really watch them now, but like maybe here and there. I see the memes, but that's about it. So growing up with Kim Kardashian and her sisters and seeing them do all these cool makeup looks and just look really good influenced my generation to start wearing makeup earlier, and also taught us different techniques on how to have a snatched face. So that made us look older than our age. It was the makeup, not our faces. We grew up during a time where the IG baddie look was poppin' and everyone wanted to be one. And that IG baddie look is still prevalent today, but it's not as popping as it once was, to be honest. And I'm happy because I tried to be an IG baddie, but it didn't work because I was ugly. Anyways, millennials and Gen X started their makeup and skincare routines at a later age because they did not have the resources that we had. And I really feel for Gen Alpha because they are growing up in a time where skincare is more celebrated than ever. So they are copying the trends by having like a 15-step skincare routine. And these include products that are way too harsh for their skin, such as retinol. And I talked about this in my Sephora Kids video. A lot of these young kids, these preteens, they're using retinol and just harsh products on their skin to prevent aging, even though they literally have no wrinkles on their face. Imagine how their skin is gonna look when they're older. Because at least us Gen Z, we didn't have crazy ass skincare routines at like 5 years old. But Gen Alpha, like they're growing up in a time like that. So I do feel for them. Coupled with advanced skincare routines and makeup routines is the rise in the early adoption of cosmetic procedures. Dr. Jeffy, who is a dermatologist based in Scottsdale, Arizona, has noted that many Gen Z individuals have already undergone fillers and Botox treatments, contributing to a more mature appearance. This is unlike previous generations who typically sought these procedures later in life. Gen Z is often more willing to undergo invasive treatments at a younger age, according to experts. Have y'all ever heard of preventative Botox? Well, if you haven't, let me explain. Preventative Botox are injections that claim to prevent wrinkles, and they have been talked about a lot. I remember talking about it with my coworker a while back, and she was complaining that she was only 23 yet she had wrinkles on her forehead, so she wanted to get preventative Botox to prevent these wrinkles from getting stronger and also to prevent future wrinkles on her face. And she is the one who told me what preventative Botox was. Like I knew about it a little bit, but she really explained it to me, and I was kind of skeptical, and to this day, I don't even believe in preventative Botox. I don't believe that there is enough evidence to show that there is a way to prevent wrinkles using Botox. Botox is used to smooth out the wrinkles that are already there and make them less visible, but I don't see Botox preventing wrinkles. It just feels like they are saying that to push it on us to make more money for their clinics and stuff. I don't trust that. And I even talked about that in my previous video about how these companies, clinics, all them, they just be pushing down these beauty standards on us to make us pay money to make them more richer. Personally, I don't believe in preventative Botox, but if you have ever tried it, let me know. Like you would have to probably do it in your 20s, and then we're gonna see in like your 50s if you have no wrinkles. So that's probably gonna take a while. If you get too much filler at a young age, I feel like it does the opposite. It makes you look older than you really are. Personally, I wouldn't touch Botox until I'm like in my 40s at least. And that's a big if because I don't like needles. If I like the way I look, I'm gonna leave it. But if I was to consider getting Botox, I would wait until my 40s. I would not touch my face right now. Also, filler can make you look older than you really are. And I do believe that's what happened with Kylie Jenner and what really prompted this whole discussion about Gen Z looking older than their age. And if you don't know, filler and Botox are similar but different. From what I saw on the internet, Botox is meant to not change your appearance. It's supposed to make you look the same. Basically make you look 30 forever or 20 forever. And filler, on the other hand, is meant to change your face because it's meant to add filler and add volume to areas in your face. So that's the biggest difference. Filler, you want to change how you look, but Botox is meant to keep you looking the same. Hope that makes sense. It should make sense, period. The picture of Kylie Jenner looking old at the fashion show is due to several factors, which is the lighting, the angle of the photo, but also we can admit that it's probably due to the Botox and filler. She doesn't look 40 or 50 as some people are claiming, but I will say in those photos that she does look more mature, and I really do believe it's because of the early cosmetic work that she has got done. I personally believe that when you're young, you don't need filler and Botox, but if you are going to do it, I would not overdo it because it can literally literally cause what you don't want because people get Botox and filler to look younger, but if you're getting it too young when you're already young, I feel like you can make yourself look older. It's defeating the whole purpose. Experts did weigh in on why they thought that Kylie Jenner looked older in those photos at the fashion events, and they talked about how Kylie may have gotten some under eye filler, which adds more volume to your under eye area. This area where fillers are actually commonly applied, it's very delicate and it requires precision. So it's intended to reduce hollow or sunken areas and smooth transitions. So when you're older, it's natural for your under eyes to look more hollow. So it makes sense to seek out that procedure. But when you're younger, I don't feel like it's necessary to get that type of procedure because it's really going to make you look older. And it can lead to a more puffy and lumpy appearance, which in turn will make you look beyond your years. Moderation and skill in applying fillers are key to achieving a natural looking result and to avoid an overfilled, older appearance. Capiche? Capiche. The last factor I want to talk about as to why people believe that Gen Z is aging like milk is our smartphone addiction, apparently. I found a TikTok that explains this, so I'm gonna show it to y'all and y'all can tell me what you think about it.
Gen Z is aging badly. Oh yeah, they look old. Yes, the stress.
I keep seeing this theory that Gen Z is aging prematurely because of stress, but I have my own theories. You see, Gen Z grew up in an era where exposure to cell phones, tablets, computers, televisions, all of these things emit a blue light, also known as high energy visible light. We all know what blue light does to our circadian rhythm. You're supposed to limit the amount of blue light before you go to bed because it can mess with your sleep function. That can add to aging. But what we're not talking about is where blue light sits on the wavelength of light. You see, blue light sits right next to UV exposure. And what does UV exposure do to us, especially if we're not protected? It ages us. Blue light is a short wavelength that contributes to 90% of aging. You should always put sunscreen on. You should put it on your hands, on your face, on your neck, on your décolletage, anything that is exposed to a screen. And living in a modern era, we are exposed to screens everywhere. Even if you're at home, sitting in front of your television, you are receiving a blue light wavelength. You're basically aging yourself every time you watch TV. I can speak for myself in being a millennial and knowing that we definitely look a lot younger than the current Gen Z population. Look at me, I'm 38.
To summarize that video, she is basically saying that we are aging ourselves constantly by exposing ourselves to blue light, which comes from literally screens. I'm always on my laptop, my phone, like I always have a screen on my face. So it definitely scared me a tad bit. I was like, damn, so now I have to wear sunscreen just to watch Netflix. Apparently, Gen Z spends an average of 9 hours a day in front of screens, which, you know, does make sense. Like even if you go to school, you're on the screen because you have like those little laptops, or when they're teaching with the projection or they bring in a TV, like there's screens everywhere, so it does make sense. And as I said, I'm on my laptop and my phone a lot. Trying to fix that though. But I'm definitely trying to get hobbies outside of always being on my computer or phone. When I'm bored, I'm going to try to paint instead of just scrolling on Instagram. I don't know how true her theory is, but like, I can't lie. It makes me want to put on sunscreen right now. I mean, like I already religiously apply sunscreen. I've been doing that since I was 16 years old because that's when I started watching these beauty influencers and they always told me to wear sunscreen, wear under eye cream. But they're like, why not start now? Start preventing aging now. So girl, I started doing that. Every 2 hours, I would reapply my sunscreen. I would have my timer go off, you know, like I was ready. I don't do all that anymore. Like I still reapply it, but I don't have the time. I'm not as extra as I once was. But you know, it's fine because black don't crack. Period. Experts have stated that the constant exposure to blue lights does affect how we sleep, which in turn can accelerate the aging process. Doctors warn that disrupted circadian rhythms and the stress associated with constant connectivity contribute significantly to an older appearance. And if you don't know, circadian rhythm is a 24-hour internal clock in our brain that regulates cycles of alertness and sleepiness by responding to light changes in our environment. To me, that sounded confusing, but basically how I saw it is that if you keep messing up your sleep cycle, let's say you're sleeping for 2 hours a day, that's gonna age you. But if you're sleeping properly, you get your regular rest at the same time, you get enough hours, then you're gonna be Gucci. But if you're sleeping for like 2 hours a day, you might start looking like you're 40 when you are 21. So basically, to prevent aging, we need to start wearing sunscreens when we go on our phones and also limit the amount of time we are on our phone, which I don't see happening for me. So I'm gonna just have to start wearing sunscreen to watch videos now. I also want to bring up the way that millennials talk about Gen Z supposedly looking older than them. A lot of them on TikTok have this energy of,
oh, we're better than y'all because we look younger than you guys. Like, you guys look so old. Like, ew, Gen Z is so old, but we are so young.
A lot of them seem to be bragging that they think that they look younger than Gen Z, and they're very proud of that. And it seems like they're having fun tearing down Gen Z while uplifting themselves. It's giving pick-me behavior. Like, you know those people who think that they're better than you because they don't go to the club? That's literally the energy that it's giving. Like, do you want a cookie or something? Let me show you this funny TikTok that I found, which summarizes how millennials be talking about themselves compared to Gen Z.
Everyone always tells me that I look young for my age.
You look your age.
I still get carded when I go buy alcohol. I just got carded the other day when I went to go buy wine. I still shop in the junior section because that's the only place where the clothes fit my body.
That's not how that
I don't
works.
look a day over 19. When I walk with my little sister, they think I'm her big cousin.
What?
That's the problem with Gen Z. They don't really know how to take care of their skin the way I do. Yeah, Gen Z looks so old. Do you see how much wrinkles Gen Z has on their face? I look so young that when I go someplace with my mom, they think I'm her daughter. Yeah.
Let me know your thoughts on that video, but I found it very funny, and I just feel like it's low-key the truth. Some millennials, the way y'all be acting, not all of y'all of course, but the way some of y'all be acting, it's giving pick-me behavior. It's giving, oh, I'm so young and I look better than you guys look old and used up and rested. Like, that's what it's giving, but shit, what do I know? Actually, I do know a lot, so yeah. Another point that I want to bring up is the fact that Botox does make everyone look the same. It makes a lot of older women just look younger because their wrinkles are smoothed out. And also the point of Botox is to maintain your appearance. If you're getting consistent Botox, it definitely will help with your aging and your wrinkles. So then you could look like you're 30 when you're actually 50 with Botox. And I think that's another factor of why our perception of aging is flawed, because the lines are really blurred now. I don't know if this is like rude to say, but some women on Instagram, they have the same look, the same, like, you know, the same IG look, the full lips, small nose, like eyebrows, smooth skin, veneers, like they have that look. It's very, very similar, and you can't really tell how old they are. It just looks like everyone is the same age. Everyone's 25 years old, or everyone's like 30 years old. When you go on Instagram, it feels like everyone is between that age range. So it's really hard to be like, okay, that person's 30, that person is 40, and that person's 20, because they all look like they're 25. And a lot of older people, but I will talk about women specifically, but a lot of them tend to dress younger than their age. You can go on Instagram or TikTok or anywhere really and see an older woman dress young. And this is not to shame women into dressing their age, because I don't care about that. But typically what's expected is that as you get older, you show less skin and you dress more modest or conservative. That's what we're conditioned to do and believe as we grow older. But now if you're older, but you're still attractive, then you showing skin is not gonna make anyone bat an eye. No one's gonna be like, ew, like why is that 40-year-old wearing shorts? They're not gonna say that. I mean, some people do say that. Like, I've seen some people make comments about Nicki Minaj, because I think she's like 42. I'm pretty sure she's in her 40s, and like people be saying, oh, she's so old, why is she doing that, why is she doing this, you know what I mean? So people still say that, but I feel like it's definitely, if you're attractive, you have a nice body, they are okay with you showing skin at 50, 40, 60 years old because you're attractive. So we love that. A lot of celebrities or IG models dress how we assume a young woman in their 20s or even 30s should dress, and I believe that further blurs the lines of age. Their makeup choices, hair choices, and clothing choices all play a role in how we view age. You know, Jennifer Lopez, Kim Kardashian, and Beyonce, I talk about them a lot, but they are known for literally not aging, and they are praised for that, and they are seen as a standard of aging. The common compliments that they get is about their age. I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, Beyonce does not age, Kim Kardashian does not age, Jennifer Lopez does not age, like what's the tea, what's the secret, y'all look so good, da 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 da. And if Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, or even Kim Kardashian were not famous, we would probably think that they were in their 30s or even like early 20s, because they literally don't age. This makes me think of how it's going to be in the future when they have way more technological advancements. I just wonder, are like 50-year-olds going to look like they're 16 in the future? It's just really crazy that everyone now, you look in the same age. And speaking of crazy, the lady I'm showing on the screen right now, I want you just to guess her age. Don't cheat. She's kind of famous-ish on Instagram, but just guess her age. Let me know. And yeah, you guessed it. Yes, you have guessed it. She is actually 44 years old. So yeah, I was quite shocked to know that she is almost 50. As I said, it's just crazy. Aging right now is non-existent. The thing is that she is not the typical 44-year-old you expect to see, but these are the type of 44-year-olds we're seeing on our screens a lot, on the television, on TikTok, on Instagram. That's what we're seeing. So we think that is normal, but realistically, it's not normal. If you got money, it's normal, but if you don't, it's not. So I feel like so social media is warping our perception of age and making people like this the standard of aging when a lot of us are not going to look like that when we're older. That's no shade, but that's just the truth. Unless you have good genetics, you take care of yourself, and also get injectables here and there, it's going to be really hard to age like this. Just saying. Part 2, the perception of Gen Z looking older. As I mentioned before, I am part of Gen Z, so when I heard this conversation going around, I was offended and I was ready to square up with these millennials. But in the previous section, we talked about the theories as to why people believe that Gen Z is aging like milk, and we also talked about why our perception of aging is blurred. But in this section, I want to dive deeper into that and just talk about this perception of Gen Z just looking old in general. So we're just gonna dive a bit deeper into what we talked about in the previous section. So let's get into it. Yeah. The age demographic of Gen Z is 11 to 26. So keep that in mind as we continue with this conversation. No one in this age group should be considered old because 26 is not old. I personally don't even consider your 30s or 40s or even 50s as being old. I would say being old starts at 60. And the thing is that being old is not even a bad thing. Aging is very normal. It's a very normal process and it can be done gracefully. But society is so against aging that they make people do things that make them not even look cute sometimes, but that's tea. I took a poll on Instagram 2 days ago where I showed you guys 3 pictures of Sexy Red, Sydney Sweeney, and Kylie Jenner. And I asked you guys how old you thought they were. I was just trying to see what the consensus would be, and these are the results. So you guys actually guessed Sydney Sweeney's age right. She is 26 years old, and that's the leading answer, so y'all did a good job. But I wonder if some of y'all were cheating. So I'm just like, I don't know if y'all cheated. Then for Sexy Red, it was very, very close. Half of y'all thought that she was 29, and the other half thought that she was 26. So she is 26 years old, but a lot of y'all just thought she was 29 as well. It's probably like the tattoos, the hair and stuff, because she looks young. At least in the picture that I'm looking at, she looks young to me. Sexy Red does not look old, but it's probably like her piercings and just the way that she carries herself. And for Kylie, it was also close as well, because half of y'all thought that she was 30. The other half thought that she was 26 years old. But now thinking of it, I should have probably used people who were not as famous. When they're already famous, we have a guesstimate of how old they are because they've been famous for like a couple of years. So I think that played into it, but maybe next time I'll try to use people who are not as famous. So after asking you guys to guess their ages on Instagram, I ended the story with asking whether you think our perception of aging is flawed. And a lot of y'all said absolutely, it's flawed. And the other half was like, it's somewhat flawed. Our perception of aging is always changing, and it will continue to change as technology advances and we learn about more ways on how we can prevent aging. Gen Z is and has grown up in an era where social media plays a massive role in everyday life. If you're walking down the street, there's a huge chance that you're gonna see someone on their phone, and they may be on social media, they may not, but there's a high chance that they are. Gen Z has gotten access to technology way sooner. I had my first phone when I was like 15 or 16 years old. It wasn't a good phone, but it was a phone and I was happy with that. But I knew people who had phones way earlier than I did. So we're a generation that grew up with technology and social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. These platforms are filled with tutorials and trends on how to achieve the perfect look. It's not only Kylie Jenner and Kim Kardashian who taught us how to contour, but there was so many content out there for us to learn how to look better and cuter. We had contouring, highlighting videos, even videos about lip fillers. We are more knowledgeable and skilled at using these beauty techniques than ever before. I started wearing makeup when I was 16 years old, and I was by no means good at what I was doing. I look crazy. Even now, low-key, my makeup, one day it's good, one day it's not good, so it's a struggle, but it's a work in progress. But that's besides the point. I feel like most millennials did not start wearing makeup until they're like 20s. And when you start wearing makeup, you're not going to be good at it at first. So millennials had a longer, uglier phase because they did not have these tutorials to help them learn how to do their makeup quicker. Like Gen Z, we had a lot of makeup tutorials. So when we were like 16, 15, 14, we were watching these videos and learning how to look cute. So we had a shorter, uglier phase. And when you look more polished and put together, that's going to make you look older than your age, because we expect children and young people not to look polished, but we expect people who are adults to look polished. But there's more to it than just our makeup and style. Our perception of aging is influenced by a lot of societal factors, of course, and one big factor is the media. How we love the media. Think about shows and movies from the 90s and early 2000s. Teen characters were often played by actors in their mid to late 20s, so our idea of how a teenager should look was already skewed. We can even talk about shows that are poppin' today, like Euphoria. It's one of the most popular shows currently, yet the whole cast is in their 20s and some of them are even in their 30s, and they're supposed to be playing teenagers. So if we have 20-something-year-olds playing teenagers, that is already skewing people's perception of age, because now they think that teen girls should look like the cast of Euphoria. And if y'all expect teens to look like the cast of Euphoria, I just wonder how y'all think 20-year-olds should look like. And even Riverdale, that's a more recent example. These shows featured actors that were well past their teenage years portraying high school students. So this sets a certain standard in our minds about how young people should look. When we compare real teenagers to these portrayals, they might seem more mature or older by default, or even looking younger as well. I vividly remember watching the very first episode of Riverdale because I was so excited, and I remember the scene so vividly. It was of Archie, the main character. Well, his name is KJ Appa, I think. So Archie was walking down in slow motion. He took off his shirt, or his shirt was already off, and I just remember being in like awe because I was like, wow, are these how teen boys look? No, he looked good. He was tall, built nicely, had nice muscles and everything. But I quickly learned that that is not how teen boys look like. Which is no shade, and that's normal. That's fine that teenage boys didn't look like that. When I was younger, I was like, wow, is this the type of guys I'm gonna see at school? It wasn't, but it's fine. And the way that my perception of aging was distorted by seeing Archie walk shirtless in slow-mo, the same can be said for young boys as well. When they're seeing all these like, hot 20-year-old ladies playing teenage girls, that can also skew their perception. And they're like, oh, this is how teen girls look like? Oh, I'm so excited to enter high school, or because this is how they should look. But it's not. And another factor that I didn't really dive deep into is fashion choices. In recent years, there has been a significant shift towards a more mature, sophisticated style among younger people. High fashion, which used to be reserved for only adults, is now accessible and popular among teens. I talked about the clean girl aesthetic in one of my videos, where the women who were participating in this trend, they didn't look old, but this aesthetic leaned into a more mature look because it was like very clean, very simple, but it just made you look a little bit older because you look very mature. But their fashion choices do look more grown, and I see that being a contributing factor to the perception of Gen Z looking older. Some fashion trends that I have seen Gen Z embracing more is streetwear, which is actually something that I am trying to embrace more, just because I've always loved that style, but I want like a hint of streetwear in my aesthetic because I just feel like it represents who I am. But also gender fluid fashion is popular among Gen Zers, athleisure, minimalism, cottagecore, and I would say a bit of Y2K is making a little bit of a comeback as well. So this trend towards sophisticated and sometimes provocative fashion can make young people appear older than they are. And it's not just about the clothes, but also the attitude and confidence that comes with these styles. I have a whole video dedicated to young teens looking like they're pushing 30, and it's not because their face looks old, but it's because of how they present themselves, their hairstyles, their nails, their outfit choices. Like they look older than they are because of those things. People really underestimate the power of fashion and makeup. You can do your makeup one way that makes you look super young, and you can do your makeup another way that makes you look super old. So it's really makeup and your fashion choices that influence how people perceive you and perceive your age, for the most part. Additionally, technology plays a huge role. With the rise of high definition cameras, filters, and photo editing apps, even the slightest imperfections can be corrected or enhanced. Gen Z has grown up with these tools at our fingertips, which makes it super easy to achieve a polished look that we see in magazine covers that may make us look older than we are. And it's not only Gen Z that uses these photo editing apps. A lot of millennials, Gen X, all of them people, they be using photo editing apps too. So let's call a spade a spade. Older people can easily smooth out any signs of aging, any wrinkles on their face before they post a picture on Instagram. And this can make them look 10 years younger, which can also distort our perception of age because, as I said, everyone on Instagram looks the same. Everyone on Instagram looks like they're 25 or 30, or like in between that age bracket. Madonna is an American singer, songwriter, and actress, and one of the best-selling female artists of all time. And she is 65 years old and she is still killing it. What's really impressive is that she is currently on tour, or she was on tour last year, and she's out here still singing and dancing, which is typically unexpected for someone her age to do because a lot of her peers are either retired or dead or just they can't do what she's doing. So definitely gotta give her flowers for that. However, when you go on her Instagram, you certainly do not see your typical 65-year-old. 65-year-old. It's clear that she edits her photos, and that's fine, but it's just another example of how technology contributes to our perception of aging. This digital enhancement further blurs the lines between youthful and mature looks. I understand that there's a pressure to also look young, so that's definitely why she edits her photos, but let's say you didn't know who she was, you could go on her Instagram and be like, oh, this is not a 65-year-old, but if someone tells you she's 65, you're gonna be like, what? You're gonna be like, whoa, how is she 65 years old? And this can also create a new standard of, oh, this is how 65-year-olds should look. If you don't look like this at 65, then you are ugly. So it's not Madonna's fault, obviously. If she wants to edit her photos, she can, but technology is definitely skewing our perception of aging. Finally, let's not forget the psychological aspect. Society often places an immense pressure on young people to dress and look a certain way. The desire to be taken seriously, especially in professional or social contexts, actually does push Gen Z to adopt more mature appearances and behaviors. If we want jobs, we have to act like an adult, right? Because no job is going to hire someone who acts like they're 16. It's just not going to happen. And I got my first job when I was 16. So of course, you bet I acted like an adult. I acted more mature. I was like on top of my shit. You're gonna act a certain way to get a job because we want the money. And most of us are working or completing our degrees or diplomas, or we have just graduated. So we have to shift our mindset to a more mature mindset so we can survive the workplace life. Because when you're young, and especially if you're a young woman, you already have so many obstacles your way. So you have to prove yourself and be like, nah, like I know what I'm doing. I'm good here. I have the knowledge to work at this firm or at this business. If you're dressed like a 16-year-old, or if you're dressed like your age, they're not going to take you seriously, or they're going to call you sweetie, sweetheart, little girl, this. Oh my God. I hate when old men call me that. Like, girl, I don't know you. Why are you doing that? I remember a couple of days ago, I went to Domino's Pizza. I went in line and this old man was in front of me, but he was kind of off to the side. So I didn't know if he was actually in the line. So I was like, hey, are you in the line? And first of all, he didn't have to do this, but like he touched my arm. He came in closer, touched my arm. He's like, what are you? I think it was like sweetheart. I guess like maybe he was just trying to be nice, but to me it's kind of like creepy. Like, why are you touching me, bruh? But he basically was just saying, oh, sweetheart, what did you say? But he's just being weird. But looking mature and dressing older than your age doesn't only benefit you in an academic setting. It also benefits you in the entertainment industry. Some women feel the need to dress a certain way to be taken seriously or to get more opportunities in their respective fields. I talked about Alabama Barker in one of my videos. She's known for looking older than her age and looking like an IG baddie. But honestly, I could bet some money that if she didn't look the way that she looked currently, I doubt she would be this popular and have over 1 million followers on Instagram or even TikTok. So we really got to look at it from all angles. Society wants you to look older if you're a teenager, but once I swear you're over 25 or over 30, they want you to look like you're 25 forever. So when we put all these factors together, the media's influence, fashion trends, technology, and societal pressures, it becomes clear why Gen Z might appear older than their years, even though they are not actually aging faster. But it's essential to remember that looking older isn't inherently negative. It's a reflection of the changing times and the evolving landscape of beauty and self-expression. But a lot of y'all don't know that, and you guys want women to look like they're babies. Let's talk about it. Part 3. I did not know what to label this section. I wanted to label it y'all don't want women, y'all want children, but I decided to go with the forced infantilization of women, because this whole discussion on aging made me want to talk about this briefly in today's video because I feel like it ties into it perfectly. Throughout history, women's physical appearance and behavior have been manipulated to benefit patriarchal structures and the male gaze. We talked about the male gaze, girls, so check out that video. But this whole discussion of Gen Z looking older, specifically the women of Gen Z, realistically shouldn't be a big deal, but because youth is so valued in society, youth, innocence, and submissiveness have historically been seen as attractive in women. And even though times have changed, these 3 values do affect how society operates today. So let's talk about it briefly. To start this section, I want to tell you a story that really opened my eyes to see how weird and creepy men can be, especially grown men. So let's talk. Carabana is a popular festival that takes place in Toronto, which is the capital of Ontario. And this festival celebrates Caribbean culture and tradition, and it's held every summer. It always looks so fun to me. I would always see videos of people just dancing, having a good time, and also pictures. Like, it just looked like a good time, it looked like a vibe, and everyone there just always seemed like they were having so much fun. So I always wanted to go when I was younger. But like, there isn't any age requirement to get into Carabana. However, if you are under 18, I would suggest go with your older siblings if you have older siblings or older cousins. I wouldn't suggest going by yourself or going with your friends that are the same age, especially if you are a girl. I would not do that. There's just a lot of weirdos there, and there's a lot of grown men and women as well who are there. So if you're under 18, probably avoid it or just go with people who are older than you, because at least they're going to be by your side and make sure that you're Gucci. Anyway, so when I turned 19, my friends and I were like, yo, we should go to Carabana this year. Let's go. Let's catch a flight and go down to Toronto and join Carabana. That's exactly what we did. We planned it out. We planned the trip for a couple of months. Then we took a flight to Toronto and then we got to Carabana. And we were so excited because this was our first time going and we didn't really know what to expect, but we were just so excited. When we got there, everything was cool. Everything went well. And it was an overwhelming experience, but a good one. I'm actually a shy person. You probably can't tell because I talk to the camera, but I'm shy. I really had to get out of my comfort zone and just talk to people. And I met so many people that day. I swear I met more people in that single day that I met in a whole year. It's so crazy. A lot of nice people are there. There's also a lot of weirdos, but I mean, that's expected. And while I was there was a lot of men who did approach me, but only one actually stood out. And it's because he initiated a proper conversation. He didn't start the conversation by telling me that I'm sexy or telling me that he wants to take me home. He actually started the conversation like a normal human being, and it was respectful to me and my friends as well. So that stood out to me, and I was like, oh, I guess some men are normal. He's the only one who I continued to have conversations with after Carabana was done. Everyone else I blocked because there was no way I was going to talk to all those weirdos. The conversations were great and I found him really funny, and I don't actually find a lot of people funny. Like, I don't laugh. I mean, I laugh because, you know, life is funny, but like certain people, I don't really find them that funny. So him making me laugh, I was like, oh my God. But he was calling me every day and I was even looking forward to his calls, which is crazy because like, ask my family, ask my friends, I don't like phone calls. If you have to call me, you better make it quick or it better be for a reason. But of course, if you want to have an actual conversation, I'll answer the phone, but I'm more of like a texting girl or like a voice note girl, you know what I mean? Because I just always be on the go. So it's just easier for me to text, boom, 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 and done. But anyways, I allowed the phone calls with him and he was going great. He was planning multiple dates for us. And his dates were like not just like basic dates, they were like bougie, just like, not bougie, but different. So you know how the basic thing is like to go to a restaurant or watch a movie? But he was like talking about like, you know, taking me to a winery, trying different wines, then go for lunch after. And like there's like other things too, I kind of forget now. But the dates were just very romantic. He was emphasizing, he's like, yeah, I want it to be romantic. I want to take you somewhere romantic. That's what he was emphasizing. So just keep that in mind. Even though everything was going great, there was a slight problem. And well, we didn't know each other's age. I was meaning to ask him his age, but it just never came up within the conversation. However, it was very evident that he was older than me. I wouldn't say like by a lot, like he didn't have like wrinkles and stuff, but I could tell that he was a bit older. And when I showed my friends his picture, they were like giving me the side eye, like, girl, if you don't find his age, because as I said, it was obvious that he was older. So lo and behold, one day it's his birthday. So he posted and I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to ask him how old he's turning. This is it. This is my chance. It's now or never. I gotta take it. At this point, we were talking for maybe 2-3 months-ish. We knew a lot about each other, but we just did not know our age. So when we're on the phone, I finally get the courage to be like, happy birthday. But by the way, how old are you? And he replies and he tells me that he is 29 years old. So it was a 10-year age gap. I was 19, he was 29. And I don't have a problem with a 10-year age gap, but the problem was my age. If I'm 29 years old, I am not talking to or entertaining a 19-year-old, and I'm not even considering them as a partner. When you're 19 and 29, you're at such different points in your life. So why would I want a 19-year-old if I was 29 years old? You know what I mean? And I was thinking like, what does a 19-year-old and a 29-year-old have in common? But I guess a lot, because we were holding conversations for a long time. But now thinking about it, I'm like, did he just try to dumb down the conversations for me? Or did I just sound mature for my age? Like, I've always heard that I sound mature for my age, but I don't know if I actually believe that, or because people just say that too to like manipulate you. So I don't necessarily know if I believe that, but I'm getting off track. So then he proceeds to ask me my age. At this point, I'm terrified because he's like, are you like 23, 24-ish? That's what he was assuming. So I was like, oh shit. I was just terrified to tell him because I thought that he would stop talking to me after he found out my age. Yeah, I know, girl, like the ghetto. I don't know what I was thinking. In the moment, I knew I would be so upset if he decided to stop talking to me because of my age. But now looking at it years later from a grown perspective where I can see more clearly and I have more sense, I would have understood his reasoning and why he did that. And I would have actually respected him even more if he chose to stop talking to me because of my age. So after moments of contemplation, I finally decide just to tell him whatever happens, happens. There's a billion men on this earth, so I'll find someone. I finally gained the courage and I was like, I'm 19 years old. There's silence on his end of the phone. Just silence. And then when he does speak, he does sound surprised, like a jump scare. Oh, jump scare. He said, oh, I just thought you were older. You just sound more mature for your age. And that's all he said. And then the conversation continued. Nothing really happened. And I was relieved and I was like, okay, phew, nothing to worry about. He's still talking to me. Oh my God, I must be the shit because I'm so mature that older men want me. Oh my God, I'm amazing. But boy, I was wrong. Because the conversation started to change and they had more of a, some sexual undertones to it, which they originally did not have. He didn't want to talk about what we were previously talking about, which really irritated me because I was not interested in talking about corn. If you know, you know. But when he said this, I was like, okay, I'm not stupid and I'm not gonna let this man try to take advantage of me. So I was like, yeah, we done with this. But this is what he said. The conversation of our date came up again. And you know how he said he wanted to make it super, super romantic, take me to a winery on a tour to try different wines and just do all that type of stuff. So that's what he wanted to do before, right? After finding out my age, he was like, you know what? You should just come to my house instead. I beg your pardon? Hell no. To the no, no, no. I was so annoyed when he said that. And after that, I blocked his number. I was like, no. To me, it felt like once he found out my age, that I was 19, that I was younger, he's like, oh, I could take advantage of her probably. I can do some manipulations on her. Because typically when you're younger, you're more dumb. That's just how it is. But I was 19, so I wasn't stupid when I was 19. It was very interesting to see how he changed his tone when he thought I was way younger. When he thought I was older and a little closer to his age, he was willing to do more to attract me. But when I was 19, he's like, you know what, just come to my house for a first date? Absolutely not. So to all my girls, all my young women, just be safe out there because these men are very irritating and very weird. So just be careful. Older does not necessarily mean better. I told this story because I want you to open your eyes to see how most men think and how society thinks. And society is really constructed by how men view the world. So when I say society, it's mostly I'm talking about men. It's just very interesting to see how society views a young woman and how they're so obsessed with us looking young and just being young. Looking young or looking younger than your age is considered a flex. And who is young? Children. And who are usually innocent and submissive? Children. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So it doesn't make sense to equate innocence and naivety with youthfulness. And youthfulness is so valued in society, but mostly only to women. Because when men look old, no one says shit. But when a woman looks old, that's like a huge topic. Like, it's weird, girl. Like, it's weird. But let's briefly dive into the historical context of the infantilization of women. If you don't know what infantilization means, it is when someone treats an adult as if they were a child, primarily through the use of demeaning practices. The infantilization of women is when others, usually men, treat adult women as children, most often concerning sexism and misogyny. And this is not a new phenomenon. Take the ancient Greeks, for example. They held on to the belief that the core of manhood was dominance and masculinity, while women were seen as weaker and less developed and often compared to young boys who were also deemed submissive. This demeaning view has persisted through centuries, shaping the way society views and treats women today, and also how society views men as well, but that's a discussion for another day. The Greek practice pederasty, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I'm gonna call it pedernasty because nasty. Basically, if you don't know what it means, it's the practice of an older grown man dating a young boy. So very weird. And it was seen as acceptable because both women and young boys were considered less developed compared to adult men. This comparison laid the foundation for infantilizing women, which is a belief that has unfortunately endured. In modern times, the infantilization of women is evident in beauty standards. For example, the expectation for a woman to have hairless bodies. This standard directly ties femininity to a prepubescent appearance, reinforcing the idea that adult female sexuality sexuality is undesirable. And of course, this applies to some people, not everyone. You know, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't start yapping in my comments. But if the shoe fits, you need to reevaluate your thinking. Once you hit puberty, stuff starts growing, you start getting developed. That's just how it works. But for some reason, body hair is considered ugly or it makes you not feminine enough. By promoting hairlessness as the ideal, society rejects womanhood and embraces girlhood. This not only infantilizes women, but also implies that maturity and signs of aging are undesirable traits for women because the save is not pushed on men. We are not forcing men to shave and be completely hairless. Men can walk out with a full beard, they can walk out with their armpits, hair down to here, they can have the most hairiest legs and no one would bat an eye. But if you as a woman have maybe 2 spots of hair on your arm, people will look at you like you're crazy. But because looking young and looking youthful is so ingrained into our brain cells, y'all want women to look like little babies and be submissive, and it's weird. And because youth is so valued in society, Botox and anti-aging skincare routines are so poppin' and prevalent today because nobody wants wrinkles. That's why it's a big deal that Gen Z supposedly looks older than their age. Because if they are starting to look older, that means they're also starting to look undesirable to society. Well, mostly men. I hope y'all are understanding what I'm trying to say. But as soon as people started talking about it, my mind immediately thought of the infantilization of women because we see it all the time. And as I said, I feel like this deserves its own video. However, I don't know if I could talk about it on YouTube. Honestly, whatever, I get to that, but I don't need to worry about that now. And I just want to stress that even though I am talking about it, I am no better. I will not leave my house without shaving. It is literally ingrained into my brain cells. I remember when I went through my period of trying to go against the beauty norm. One day I didn't shave my legs, but I had a long dress on, so it was still long. My legs were covered. But when I sat down, it raised a little bit. So I remember I was taking the subway and a man was sitting across from me. My legs showed a little bit, so you can see a little bit of hair. And this man would not stop staring at it. He kept staring at it, kind of looking at me, looking at my legs, looking like he was disgusted. I was like, bruh.
He looks at me and I look at him.
I don't even have that much hair too. Bro, if you saw the amount of hair he had, because he was wearing shorts, he was covered in hair. He could have been Bigfoot. So I was like, I don't know why this man's looking at me, but definitely did make me uncomfortable. And talking about that experience reminds me of an experience I had when I was way younger, back in 3rd grade, I'm talking. I think I mentioned before that I got developed earlier than people my age, and we had an assembly in school. I was wearing shorts, and these 2 girls, I still remember them to this day. There's some moments in your life that you just have a vivid memory of. And this is one of them. I remember them making fun of me because I had some leg hair and I was in 3rd grade, and most 3rd graders don't have any hair yet. But as I said, I just developed earlier, so that's what I had to deal with. In the moment, obviously I was sad, but now looking back, I'm like, how do we even have 3rd graders making fun of each other for having hair? That just goes to show how ingrained society beauty standards are into us. People who go against the grain, you really have to have thick skin because it is ingrained into us from a very, very young age. Being hairless is the ideal. That has been ingrained in us since we're young. So it's so hard to go against it. It's unfortunate, but I'm not gonna leave my house without shaving. I just can't do it, and I do not want to subject myself to the looks and stares and insults that I will get if I do that. But the infantilization of women diminishes their authority, limits their opportunities, and perpetuates a culture that values submissiveness, youth, and innocence over strength. It's crucial to recognize these patterns and to actively dismantle these patriarchal norms that uphold these standards. You know what I mean? Dismantle the patriarchy. Dismantle it. But in the end of the day, Gen Z is not aging like milk, despite what millennials say, because they think they're so cool because they think they're younger. And that just goes to show you that youth is so valued in society that calling someone old is an insult. Whether we look older or younger isn't as important as how we feel and how we express our identities. Embracing our unique qualities and also aiming to age gracefully and accepting the aging process is the best way to go about it, in my personal opinion. I feel like fighting aging is gonna make you age more. So how about we stop saying no offense, then proceeding to say something offensive? And also, how about we stop this obsession with our youth and stop trying to call people old to make yourself feel better because you think you look younger? How about that? Anyways, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I appreciate you. Let me know your thoughts on this topic. Super interested. And I feel like all of my videos need further parts, a part 2, a part 3, a part 4, which makes me happy because it means I will never run out of video ideas. So that's great to know. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video if you care. Anyways, I have a headache now because this hat, ooh girl, this hat hurts. My hair looks so ugly, so I had to cover it. I'm gonna stop rambling and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hoolie, 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 oh no, hoolie, can't you see? I'm at the fear. Stress associated with constant conductivity. Stress associated with the constant conductivity. Oh, baby, I love you, Wade, every day. I wanna be with you night and day.